Charlie was a patriot.
Notices, bulges, capital O-W-O, what's this question mark?
You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country.
If you read this, you are gay, L-M-A-O.
I'm sure you've already seen the news, but right-wing political commentator Charlie Kirk has passed away. This is while he was speaking at an event in a Utah university. And now there's been a huge update on that because the suspect has actually been found. And you've probably seen as well how the FBI released bullet casings that the suspect actually used. Now, some of these messages on the casing were basically just like memes, video game references, and stuff you'd see on Discord. Like, for example, notices bulges, woo, what's this? And then there was another case that read, hey, fascist catch. And then they used a code. That code is the exact same input for the 500 kilogram bomb in Helldivers. The other one had some lyrics to Bella Ciao, which was basically an Italian anti-fascist song. And one that I guess was left for forensics or the FBI, which they did have to read. If you read this, you're gay, Lamau. Now, the thing about this event is because it was so public, because Charlie Kirk would do these kind of like political debates where he sits in a tent, people queue up, some people ask genuine questions, other people just wanted to troll him. But because this event was so public, there are so many different perspectives and camera views because there were hundreds of people recording. There's even at one point someone recording indoors, and you see, or at least I think you can see, the suspect actually on the roof trying to escape. So the suspect was identified as Tyler Robinson, who was actually only 22 at the time. They also found this guy's Discord account, and on there he was talking about, you know, needing to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, watching the area of where a rifle was left, how to engrave bullets, and also apparently a message saying leaving the rifle wrapped in a towel. There was a lot of coverage on this. Like even the BBC at one point, they were basically reporting that Charlie Kirk was instrumental to Trump winning the second election. He was even awarded at one point posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is basically like the highest civilian medal that you can be awarded. Now, Charlie Kirk was definitely an opinionated individual, and because of that, a lot of people loved him, a lot of people despised him. Obviously, Charlie was a right-wing figure, so a lot of people on the right said that this was basically a horrendous act, saying that Charlie Kirk wasn't just a political figure, but he was also a husband, he was a father, and now his children will grow up without their dad in their life, and the wife as well has been left widowed. And these same people are saying that like healthy political discourse is completely going out the window, and your safety can't be guaranteed if you hold an opinion. And then there's the complete opposite side that are basically celebrating his death, saying that Charlie brought this on himself by creating this hateful atmosphere. There's this one clip that's being shared infinitely at the minute, basically where Charlie is saying that, you know, some gun deaths a year are worth it so people can actually have their Second Amendment to keep firearms.
I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
I'm also not making the statement, by the way, like if you're right-wing, you supported him. If you're left-wing, you hated him and you're happy that he's dead. Because obviously I've seen like, you know, street interviews and stuff of people on both sides saying, yeah, I didn't agree with the guy, but also he didn't deserve to be killed. Now, there was obviously a lot of people that were reacting to this. One clip that I saw, for example, was Dean Withers, who was one of the kind of liberal teens, I guess, that was debating Charlie Kirk. And he basically just started crying when he heard the news that he died.
His wife and children were in attendance, dude. Nobody deserves that. Not even Charlie Kirk.
Now, this has been a huge moment in US politics. Believe me, I have tried so hard to not talk about this topic, to stay away from it. But then I saw Charlie do a video on it, and then I saw Dolan do 2 videos on it.
Notices bulge. Oh, whoa, what's this? Well, guess I'm coming out. Thanks for
like, I've seen multiple accounts of people that have came out in support of Charlie, saying that this is horrendous, this is terrible. Someone that was speaking the truth was silenced. Like, for example, I saw this post from Eddie Hall, basically in support of Charlie Kirk. That post has now been deleted. And then on the other hand, I've just seen people constantly making memes about it that absolutely bang on Twitter. I don't think it matters what your opinion on Charlie Kirk is, but one thing is a fact. If you die, people will make fun of you. You cannot tell them to stop. You can't say, no, don't be rude. You just have to make peace with it. That is the Joker face society we live in now. I mean, I know for a fact that if I died, people will just say, no, he's not dead. We'll just wait for a new main channel video. And then they'll say the same thing until they're like 93 years old in a retirement home. So to make things a little bit bizarre, Trump put out a video basically talking about Kirk's death. It's 4 minutes long. I won't get super into it, but you can probably guess what I'm going to say from the Discord source online. Most people think that this video isn't real. They think it's AI. And it'd be really, really stupid of Trump if he found out that one of the biggest speakers of his policies and his presidency died. He were to make an AI video about it because he couldn't be asked to get out of bed. Now, the big moment that people have pointed out in this video to accuse it of being AI is like 19 seconds in, and it looks like there's some form of cut, like his whole body moves pretty quickly and reposes itself to an unnatural degree. And then people zoomed in on his hands and slowed down the footage, and his hands are kind of like, I don't know if Trump learned the ability to no clip into himself, but something definitely looks off here. I mean, if you pay attention to his right hand, his pinky disappears and then becomes another finger. And whilst that happens, his other fingers get shorter, but then leaves like a semi-opaque outline of where they were. And I'm not sure whether his fingers like died and went to heaven and then got quick revived. It looks very strange. And then people started to pick apart Trump's voice as well, saying that he sounds very kind of verbose usually, but his voice and tone here, you know, seem to go up and down a lot in sentences. I mean, again, during a very serious rehearsed addressal, I could totally understand why the tone of voice would be different, but a lot of people have accused this of being AI.
Tells me that you want to talk about crime in D.C. and beautification of D.C., but I'm going to put that's easy. And I think, frankly, fixing the crime with the pros, fixing the crime is easy, too. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot.
Now, I can imagine one of the main reasons why people think that this is AI is because, you know, for the past couple of weeks, Trump has been under a lot of scrutiny about his health. I mean, he has been forever, like every president. I mean, you had like Sleepy Biden before him. You know, usually most US presidents, when they get into power, they're fucking old. They're basically pushing a death's door. And obviously the country that they represent don't want their president to look weak. So they could have like underlying health conditions or problems. So they'll probably pump them up full of meds, give them some kind of bag to piss in, you know, anything to kind of hide the fact that they are not doing well, because then that makes them look weak and the opponents go, oh, okay, we can invade this country now. Like, for example, there was this time where Trump didn't make a 2-day appearance and then people just immediately thought that he died. And then back in February, he was spotted with bruises on his hands. Or back in July, he was diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency, meaning that basically, in short, his veins weren't working correctly. People were even drawing comparisons to 1984 because in the book and in the film, Big Brother is this like huge figure that basically leads everyone, but no one actually ever sees Big Brother. And then people were saying, well, I've never actually saw Trump. Is he even real? And the thing is as well, after Charlie Kirk died, the day after was 9/11. And obviously in America, there's always a 9/11 memorial. And that's when you saw Trump. He was walking around, giving speeches. But what a lot of people pointed out is actually the right side of his face had a pretty significant droop to it, which then led people to immediately jump to, okay, he's had a stroke. Now, I did look into if this video was AI or not. Looking into it means I open up TikTok and scroll until I see someone talk about it. And there was a lot of outlets that basically said, yeah, it seems sus, but it probably isn't AI. So you had NBC News. And again, I'm going to put my hands up. The majority of you that watch this channel are American. You're either going to be soy facing or doing a big sigh when I say NBC News. I did a quick search and apparently they're left leaning, but they reached out to 4 experts in AI video generation, which sounds like one of the worst jobs you can ever have in your entire life. And they all came back saying that the video doesn't actually show indications that it was AI generated, and the audio itself seems pretty authentic.
So last night, I started reaching out to digital forensics experts to see what they thought about it. I spoke with 2 university professors who study the technology and 2 companies that track and identify deepfakes. The professors both started by saying this is weird, especially that glitch and the fact that Trump doesn't seem to move his hands for most of the video. However, all 4 experts I talked to said the video doesn't show evidence of being synthetically generated or a deepfake, and that the audio in particular is authentic.
So what this could be instead is more of like kind of a localized video manipulation. You know, like for example, if Trump had to do retakes or anything like that, the footage would kind of be spliced together, but they tried to make it look authentic, not just kind of cuts constantly. They wanted to make it look like it was one seamless message because Trump would appear more powerful. But in turn of doing that, he's obviously going to move around and shift, and they've tried their best to stitch it together, but then it just looks a little bit dodgy because it's morphed, so people think it's AI. You also had some people point out as well that the teleprompter being projected on the window behind him as well, which is probably something that AI couldn't recreate. I mean, you know, give it a couple months and it will.
The most compelling and clear real-life proof are the very specific, subtle window reflections. It has a realistic teleprompter scrolling cadence, and any seasoned camera operator would identify that.
And I think like one of the final reasons why Trump was accused of using AI is because if you check his social media accounts, he will non-stop just shitpost AI memes constantly. I mean, obviously nothing like convincing to the point where it could look real, because then there's probably a lawsuit waiting to happen, like slander. They're meant to be comedic, but he would shitpost these constantly. So I guess people tried to turn the tables and say, hey, wait a minute, use an AI, buddy. But again, as well, like, could you imagine the backlash if your friend died and you end up using like fucking Google VO or something to film a video talking about it? I mean, to be fair, it's just another great example of how AI has just destroyed the credibility of information. We can go back to Will Smith eating spaghetti, but that's probably not going to happen. Again, I know that there are going to be people that are watching this video that will either be celebrating this guy's death or thinking it's just an absolute tragedy. And then you'll probably have people in between who didn't agree with him, but thought that he didn't deserve to be killed. But I know one thing that's going to happen now that is absolutely beyond guaranteed. Without a doubt, America now, politically, is going to get a lot more extreme. Like, I see people and stuff shitposting and doing Charlie Kirk memes, and the way the internet works is like everyone will just move on in 2 weeks, which again is a very kind of sobering thought as well, that, you know, no matter what your career, if you died, people will just kind of, you know, check their phone and move on. It reminds me of this one episode, Black Mirror Smithereens, and the entire episode takes place with the guy as the main character, like the main focus, like the protagonist. But then when the conflict ends and he dies at the end, sorry, spoilers for a season that came out like 6 years ago now, people kind of check their phone and then they kind of just put it away and they just keep going on. I'm not saying that Charlie Kirk is going to get forgotten. I'm going to say that like the attention will die down because the news cycle is ravenous and it always moves on to the next thing. But I feel like a seed has been planted now where things are just going to get a lot more extreme.